But I didn't quite realize the extent to which D.W. Griffith like invented filmmaking.
Yeah, he did like a lot of work.
Because I know in like in film school they kind of mention him,
but I think because of Birth of a Nation, he gets kind of
because like you can't
hold.
actually tell this history of how like filmmaking came to be without talking about him.
Yeah,
because he invented like basically everything.
Yeah. Didn't he do most of it with Birth of a Nation too?
Well, he guess he started because like when he got into it, it was like a movie would be a single reel.
Yeah,
and it's a wide shot that doesn't move with like essentially vaudeville actors doing like big
doing
shit like that.
Yeah,
so he invented like I should do a close up.
I should cut
and like editing.
Yeah,
he invented editing.
Yeah,
but he would do it with like shorter reels first, and he was the first guy to do like. No, it's 2 reels. Yeah, and so he was doing all these like short ones, but his were just like way better than everyone's else's. Yeah, and his like actors were the first ones to do like more like restrained movement and stuff like that. So he at this point he hasn't done Birth of a Nation yet.
I think that movie was like...
I think it was like the first like movie that'd be like
picture.
Recognizable as a movie now.
You'd go see it and you're like, oh, that's a full like story with like shots telling the story.
Yeah, and he was the first one. Yeah, like editing. No one had done any editing before.
Everyone was like, yeah, we filmed the fucking the street.
Well, and also like when he started, he was making two a week.
Holy shit.
And that's like the pace because it was just like one thing. You turn on the camera,
go.
The actors do
you
some
got a guy
like
literally cranking it.
Yeah, and the actor will, like a guy will do a cartwheel.
Yeah,
and that's it.
In the can, call it a picture, baby.
Yeah,
done.
And so originally he was doing 2 a week, but then like his shit was like better than everyone else's, so they give him more time and he'd come up with like a 5-minute thing that's kind of a story.
That's the thing about like they're kind of like it's neat to like read about, but like I'm not gonna go back and watch.
His breakthrough one, I think it was called like A Handful of Grain or something like that.
That's the funniest part about looking into film history. It'll be like and Clarence Merriweather made headlines with his very important picture, A Bushel of Grapes. It's like, what's it about? It's a man eating grapes. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like A Handful of Grain. And it blew everyone's minds. No one had ever seen anything remotely like this before. And it's just like, it describes it, and it's like a farmer growing wheat. And like a woman eating bread. And like a rich grain merchant falls into a grain silo. It's like no one had ever.
People left like, oh my god! Wow. Clarence Merriweather's picture, a bunch of grapes. What with the star, Harvey rapist Kissinger.
Yeah, and some 12-year-old girl who's on pills,
who's on meth. And a 12-year-old girl on meth who kisses the 56-year-old actor in his breakout film, A Bundle of Grapes.
I don't know if they'd actually started mething them up yet.
Probably not.
But it's definitely kind of like,
well, I think
he's got this 14-year-old girl who everyone loves, and also he's having sex with.
Yeah. Well, also, I think at that point, wasn't everyone on meth by like their like diets?
You're probably taking diet. Ooh, this is like 1910.
They had like meth toothpaste and shit.
Yeah.
But I guess not toothpaste, but like.
So like he was like LA wasn't like even a filmmaking thing until he went out there.
1910 was what was that when like cocaine was in like Coca-Cola still?
Probably actually, yeah. It's probably when you could get like morphine at a pharmacist.
Yeah.
And
he's passing out at the barbershop. D.W. Griffith slumped at the barbershop.
But yeah, it's an interesting book. I like this Howard Bloom guy's style. I like his swag, you might say.
He's got a cool swag about him.
Yeah, well, just like he'll have a book about like a event, and it'll be like 3 or 4 like intersecting like guys who eventually will intersect around the event.
That's cool.
But it's just like he'll do all this like research and stuff, but then just kind of like extrapolate it down to like the moment.
Right.
So it'll be like it won't be like, ooh, and and then he went to Tacoma and solved the case. It'll be like, he rode the train to Tacoma and he looked around the anarchist commune and this and that, and like it's like very like granular.
That's cool.
It's good.
Since Nosferatu came out, a bunch of people have been like pretending that silent films are like watchable, and
they're not.
They're not, man.
Please, I really hope we don't. What was that one?
The Artist.
The Artist.
Yeah,
that movie sucked.
I thought it was like fine, but it's got such a I didn't find it like offensive, but I also haven't seen it in probably
better with
7
sound.
years. Probably.
When they invented sound in movies, everyone was like, "Nice,
good.
This is better."
Same
with color.
I don't mind black and white movies.
Same with color, but it'd be better if it was in color.
Sure, I think The Lighthouse would be not better in color.
I think it would be. You could think of all the color. You could use blue,
gray,
maybe
black,
brown,
beige,
and then like a light gray.
But like, I'm seeing a lot of people pretend like silent films are like something you could throw on and watch, and it's like you are a fucking maniac.
They're really not. It's just something that you watch to like write it on Letterboxd
and pretend that it's like really good
and pretend that you like it because it makes you a big brain cinephile.
I actually love The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
You know what? Hot take.
Yeah.
Den of Thieves 2, way better than Doctor of Caligari. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, 1,000,000 times better than M.
I'm going to say Sonic 2 better than A Handful of Grapes. Leagues better than A Handful of Grapes.
Way better. Like if the people who were getting their minds blown by a bushel of grapes
if they saw Sonic
2
they'd fucking kill themselves.
They
literally think it's the devil. They'd like, what the fuck is that? Where'd that little blue dog come from?
Their minds would actually be blown. Like literally you'd hear like in the theater as people's heads exploded from too much like
good
fun.
Stuff. Too much fun. Why is that little blue dog running so fast? I kept doing that while I was watching it. I was referring to him as a dog. Like, damn, that little dog's really fast.
That dog really fucked up that bald guy.
It's like
D.W. Griffith presents a bundle of sticks.
D.W. Griffith was the first guy to make a Sonic movie. And it's like
ancient unearthed Sonic.
It's like literally like a slave painted blue. This like shaky black, like sepia tone film of like a blue slave, like running with like big red shoes on. It's like filmed on a plantation. D.W. Griffith presents Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Yeah, and that's where Mr. Sega, he saw that old film reel.
D.W. Griffith.
D.W. Griffith.
Make a Sonic run of us.
I've never actually seen Birth of a Nation.
Me neither. Why? Like, I feel like all old film you can just kind of like read the Wikipedia on and understand its impact.
And I can like process that like nothing had been like that before.
Yeah.
And that like every move you do with a camera, basically either he or some like ancient Soviet guy invented.
Yeah. Basically, read the Wikipedia for like D.W. Griffith and the guy who made Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah.
You'll kind of understand the basics of film, I think.
There's actually one of those like real old school Soviet movies, Man with a Movie Camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Because it's all like these like old school, like it's like 1920 or something. Like old Russian cameramen doing like unbelievably dangerous shit to get shots. And it's a bit of a tough watch. It's only like an hour long.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about old movies. Rare to have one that's even 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think this one might be like 50-something, and it doesn't have like a story or anything. It's just like shots.
Yeah.
But it'll have like a shot of like a car driving, which I guess at the time would be exciting.
Yeah.
But then it'll also have a shot of like how they got that shot. So it'll be like the car's racing, and then there's another car with a guy with one of those like 400-pound cameras like standing on the hood. With like the big tripod like on the hood of this other car that's racing beside.
That's the funny that's really funny, like people didn't, there's something funny about the way people bend and move in movies now the way like the way Tom Cruise like moves, like he's crouching and bending and doing shit in movies now. If you watch like old movies, people don't even really like lean over.
Yeah,
like everyone's like so like even Buster Keaton will be like standing on the hood of a car. He's not like crouched at all.
And like the cameraman too, like he's not like connected to anything, and he's wearing a suit and tie and like a hat.
Yeah, Buster Keaton movies are him like standing on the wing of a plane, like not crouched, just fully standing in a suit with a top hat.
No one realized you could bend your knees yet.
Like
their pants were made out of cardboard. They would break in half.
Wearing 40-pound denim jeans. Like Buster Keaton's just straight as an arrow, standing on like the wing of a plane.
They're wearing like denim or like canvas, 3-inch thick canvas pants that have been soaked in glue,
waxed with like duck shit. Yeah, they're just standing. They're standing on top of a train car, like checking their pocket watch while it's moving.
Yeah, I was trying to hold their hat on.
Yeah, no one really even like crouches in old movies. No. Everyone stands straight up. And I'm sure there's some like letterboxed motherfucker right now being like, actually, in A Bushel of Grapes 2, someone can clearly be seen bending over to grab grapes. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, no, the point stands.
Yeah, that most of the time,
despite your evidence, the point stands.
Go look at like any. I bet you pull like any random frame from like the majority of the silent film era. It'll be a guy standing.
Yeah, like there's that one where the guy like climbs a clock tower.
I think that's Buster Keaton, is it not?
I think it's a different guy. He might also have a clock tower movie.
It's a big gag, you know, doing
like he's in like a stiff ass suit and he's climbing the building like without ever bending his arms or legs. Straight.
No one knew about joints back then. 110 years ago, no one knew you could even use your joints.
Yeah.
Well, it's disgraceful to bend your knees in a picture. Is it?
Probably.
It probably is.
That's probably why we're such a degenerated culture now. We're looking at everyone bending and crouching.
Crouch down and
rolling.
Squatting.
Yeah.
Everyone's sitting.
Yeah.
You rarely saw people even sit.
No. I mean, if we were podcasting in 1912, we'd be standing perfectly straight.
Talking into one of those like hanging, like boxing microphones.
And we'd be talking like this.
And the tariffs, I almost forgot, nothing ever happened.
Nothing ever happens.
Even like boxing back then is two guys just standing straight up. Yeah, just throwing like straight arm punches.
Yeah, maybe if something happens, I'll deliver my patented political hot takes on the tariffs next week.
I actually forgot to talk about. I watched a bit of a YouTube series about the history of boxing.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how fucking? Speaking of like the turn of the century,
guys used to like die in the ring and stuff, right?
Because they wouldn't just have like one boxing match.
They'd have multiples in one night.
They'd fight like 100 rounds. Because it was like guys would just be like, yeah, it doesn't end till I throw in the towel. They'd literally box 100 rounds,
like against the same person.
Yeah.
Or one guy would die and some new guy would show up.
They'd fight it was so chill. Like guys would get knocked out 6 times and get up and be like, I'm fine, and the ref would be like, all right, keep going. And so there's the interviews talking. It was a documentary about CTE, and he was going through the history of boxing, and it was like yeah, basically every like famous boxer from the turn of the century, by the time they died, didn't even know they were a boxer. Because they were like they were also fighting with 1910s boxing gloves, which were like rocks.
Yeah, it's just a thin strip of leather. That's harder than a fist.
So the footage they show is these guys like around like 86 with like the most beaten
and they
face.
Probably don't have like the real technical defense.
No, it's literally like Donald Duck boxing, where they're running around and doing like big uppercuts. They're running around like this and like and like catching each other with these like crazy haymakers. And so he's talking about these people who like they died in like the 40s.
Yeah,
where like people would go visit them and be like, "Oh, you're a legendary prize fighter," and they'd be like, it's like, oh my god, dude, Jesus Christ.
Even Muhammad Ali was like that.
Yeah,
and he was a more modernish guy.
Yeah, well,
he's probably all died by the time they were like 40 or something.
Literally, yeah, they died at like 38, 45, yeah. But the footage is just like, it's like, damn, man, we were so fucking stupid. Not that we're like smart or good now, but like where we've come is like we used to let guys box like 100, and they'd have like feuds where like any pair of boxers, if they had a feud, would have like throughout their career boxed like 600 matches against each other, 600 rounds against each other, where they just fight so much, and people would just pay, and it would be like a 4-hour fight that they're watching.
But I mean,
at the zoo, by the way. At like the like showroom of the zoo, where they do like lion shows. They'd put a boxing ring and be like, the title fight, and there's like seals,
right? But I mean, life was just kind of cheaper back then.
Yeah, you pay 10 cents and you watch 6 hours of two guys fighting.
Well, and like in the Charlie Siringo book I read before, it was kind of like, you're out on the range. Sometimes your best friend just gets hit by lightning. And all you can do is, grab his sheep and keep on moving.
Grab his stuff and go, I guess.
Yeah, it was just like, you go out and you're doing a sheep thing with like 8 guys.
One gets struck by lightning.
One of them gets struck by lightning. One of them falls down a gorge. It's just like, all right, we've got 2 more guys, I guess. I guess I can marry his wife now, I suppose. Like,
sick.
But it's just like...
She's weird looking.
Yeah, she's his weird 15-year-old wife.
His 15-year-old wife who looks like 46.
Yeah.
And is like really strong.
Yeah, you can throw a bale of hay.
Shit was so crazy back then, man.
But it was just like, literally one of the guys who's riding with got struck by lightning.
That's insane.
And he was just so casual about it. It was just kind of like, well, on the range, sometimes you don't get struck by lightning. Sometimes you do get struck by lightning. Sometimes he does get struck by lightning.
Sometimes you don't be getting struck by lightning. Sometimes you is be getting struck by lightning.
And it was just, at least in his retelling, it was kind of just like, all right.
Well, I guess you got struck by lightning then.
Yeah. I'm going to take whatever's not melted to you.
Shit used to be so funny, man.
Yeah.
I'll send you the boxing documentary because the first like 10 minutes are so funny.
Because probably those boxers, even if you told them like this is bad for you, they'd be like...
They were like, no. Well, they said that in the documentary too. Like after a few fights, some people were like, hey, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Because they'd be sitting there, they couldn't see, like they're blind in both eyes.
Yeah.
All their teeth are gone. They're like the most
like little stars and cuckoos and birds.
Both their eyes are like swollen shut. They're missing all their teeth. They can't hear.
Yeah.
They're deaf. And the people are like, hey, man, you should probably go get a job.
What else are they going to do, though?
They were like, nah.
And like the job they would get would be like you get like chained to like a thing and stuck down a chimney.
We drag you behind boats.
Yeah.
To like
you're an anchor. We put big metal balls on your feet and we use you as an anchor. Yeah, you can get a job where we seal you in a brick wall. We're going to build a factory around you and you clean the inside of the brick wall until you starve.
Your job is we're building a building and you need to catch the bricks we throw at you. We're going to have a bunch of extra bricks on the roof and we're going to chuck them down and you got to catch them. We don't want to break all these bricks.
Yeah, use your body to block the bricks. Well, but it made for... Like in the LA Times thing, there were like a few guys like escaped off the roof.
Yeah.
But like they're in this like burning ass building that's all like wood, full of like ink and paper and shit.
Yeah.
And the way they got out was somebody in the rooming house across the way. They had a ladder, but it was too short. So he like put it across, and this guy like held on to it as like 8 other guys crawled across. And it's a guy with like other people holding his feet. Yeah, and he's holding the ladder.
Well, that's the era where like escaping out of jail by tying all your shirts together and putting them out the window.
And like one guy, like he was on like the 3rd floor or whatever, or like I think maybe even higher.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't with the ladder guys, so his only option was he had to jump. And the firemen were down there with a tiny little net, and he missed.
They used to do that. Yeah, they'd be like, jump out of the building. We'll hold this like trampoline.
And he missed, which is, I know it's sad, but that's such a funny image to think of. Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, fuck. I forgot firemen. That was their strategy.
Yeah, they'd hold out a net.
They'd hold a trampoline and be like, "Just jump, sweetheart," and they'd get a lady to jump onto like the 4th floor and just they'd like bounce her.
I mean, if it works well, that's what happens. I have to wonder what the actual success rate of that was.
Well, they probably thought it was wildly successful because it was a 20% success rate. Yeah, because the alternative is, well, we'll just let you die in there.
Yeah, because like this guy jumped and just.
Yeah, they were probably like, what else are we supposed to do? Yeah, this works 15% of the time.
Yeah, it sometimes works.
What are we supposed to do? We can't just be throwing water around like crazy here. We can't just be spraying all the water on this house that's going to burn down. What if we get thirsty? Well, what if we
don't be too thirsty to hold the net?
I mean, spray all the water on that? The house is going to burn down anyway. Yeah. What if we all get thirsty later? Yeah. What if I need to have a bath tomorrow? Yeah, I'm drunk as shit. I need to drink some water. I'm drunk and on cocaine right now from my like breath mint. I just had a mint and now I feel like putting my fucking head through concrete. Yeah, we're gonna get this mom with her baby to jump out the window and we'll catch her in a trampoline. Yeah, I'm a fucking hero. I'm the highest paid guy in the city, besides the mayor. Yeah. The mayor, by the way, is a pedophile. Yeah. Who's the mayor? Because he said he was. Well, yeah, this shit seems, because there's this big conflict between like the owner of the LA Times and like his league of business owners, and like the anarchists and like union guys and stuff. Yeah. But I guess like the LA Times building, it did get bombed, but it was so like it had like battlements and like little slots for guns and stuff, because it was just like a wars. Yeah, every building was just like built like that. Yeah, like a lot of old buildings have like